Hi, welcome back to ADEX Pixel Virtual Expo and Blue Hope as we celebrate World Children's Day today. And for this particular session at 3 p.m., it is the official launch of the Plastic Oceans UK films, education films in Bahasa Malaysia. And without any further ado, let me just pass over this session to the moderator himself, Mr. Charles Hay, for the British High Commissioner to Malaysia. So Charles, over to you.
Nora, thank you very much indeed. And good afternoon, everyone, to this launch webinar, Blue Hope on World Children's Day, and the official launch, as you just heard, of Plastic Oceans UK films in Bahasa Malaysia. Now, this event follows the success of our Blue Hope launch and 5 days of webinars to mark World Oceans Day back in June. We're very, very pleased indeed on UNICEF's World Children's Day to be officially launching today the Plastic Oceans UK plastic education films in Bahasa Malaysia. And I'm joined today by an illustrious cast. All the way from the UK, we have Joe Ruxton, who is founder and director of Plastic Oceans UK. Joe, really good to see you again. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you. It's a pleasure.
The rest of the team are here in Malaysia. We have Dr. Rashid Mustafa Sarwar, the UNICEF representative to Malaysia and special representative to Brunei Darussalam. We have Dr. Isan Ismail, who's Senior Principal Assistant Director at the National STEM Centre, Educational Planning and Research Division, the Ministry of Education, Malaysia. We have Jamalulail Abu Bakar, Undersecretary from the Environmental Management Division, Ministry of Environment and Water. We have Ian Salas, the Campus Principal at Tenby School, Setia Eco Park, and Maya Karin, actress and environmentalist who provided the Bahasa Malaysia voiceover for the Plastic Ocean UK films. Now, to start the webinar this afternoon, we are going to have a film first from Sir David Attenborough, which is a call to action for us all.
Hello, my name is David Attenborough and I'm a naturalist and a natural history filmmaker. Over the last 65 years, I've been very privileged to travel the world and see every environment from the ocean to the jungle. We're now facing a range of extremely challenging environmental problems. But one of the most pressing issues of our times is plastic pollution. While plastic now affects the entire planet, it's our oceans that bear the full brunt of plastic pollution. What's so tragic about plastic pollution is that it is so totally unnecessary. The plastic in our oceans should never have found its way there in the first place. And yet, a staggering 8 million tons of plastic now ends up in our oceans every year, causing untold harm to marine wildlife. Blue Planet 2's crew saw plastic everywhere they filmed, but this catastrophic damage to our oceans is reversible and nature can recover if we give it a chance. While the actions of just one of us, you, may seem to be so very small with really no effect at all, in fact, knowing there are hundreds of thousands of people all doing the same thing is starting to have a truly positive effect. Every single one of us now needs to think, and I mean really think, about how we use plastic. So, I strongly urge you all to treat plastic with care, because if it reaches the environment, it will stay there for a very long time, if not forever, and ultimately affect us all. Every one of us should be extremely proud of their natural heritage and passionate to protect and conserve it and ensure that it remains around for future generations. We all have a responsibility to care for our planet. The future of humanity, and indeed all life on Earth, now depends on us. Thank you very much, and good luck.
So I hope you all enjoyed that short film. I found it very moving, as I do many of David Attenborough's films. He's such an incredible figure now, and such one who's been around for as long as I can remember. And one of the great privileges I've had as High Commissioner here in Malaysia is to speak to him a couple of times about his support for our campaign here in Malaysia. And one of the most important things we've done, I think, in the bilateral relationship between the UK and Malaysia over the last couple of years is join hands and work together to tackle plastic pollution. We've been very keen to raise awareness of this important issue. Last year, we held a special VIP royal screening in the presence of His Royal Highness Prince Edward, the Earl of Wessex, of an episode of Blue Planet 2 to raise awareness at that time. That was during his visit here to Malaysia. And we've also been doing a lot of important work on the ground in actively tackling the issues. So, for example, the High Commissioner has brought to Malaysia the team from a UK charity called RAP, who helped set up the UK Plastic Pact. And they're working with government, with business, and with non-governmental organisations. They've been providing technical advice to Malaysian businesses and ministries and shared best practice so that people know about the things that we've been doing in the UK to reduce plastic waste. I think knowledge sharing on how we tackle this scourge of plastic waste is incredibly important. Malaysia is also a partner in our Blue Communities programme. And the Blue Communities programme helps us find ways of working with the marine ecosystems for the benefit of the health, well-being, food security and livelihoods, which is incredibly important, of coastal communities across East and Southeast Asia. We also have two very exciting collaborative science projects running with Malaysia through our Newton Unku Omar Fund. The first one, and I apologize, this sounds rather technical, it's using nexus thinking to empower community-based management of mangrove fisheries. Mangroves are extremely complex and sensitive ecosystems, and they're extremely important from the point of view for fishing communities. And that's been a collaboration with the Plymouth Marine Laboratory. The second one is, and again, I apologize for the very technical sounding title, but identifying trade-offs of changing land use for aquatic, environmental and socio-economic health and facilitating sustainable solutions. And that's an important partnership with the Malaysian National Oceanography Centre. And the fourth thing I wanted to mention in terms of the very practical things that we're doing to work closely with Malaysia. So back in October, UK Research and Innovation, that was and this is a program in partnership with the National Research Foundation of Singapore, awarded grants worth £6 million for 4 innovative research collaborations to study the impact, the risk and mitigation of marine plastic pollution across Southeast Asia. This project area, and an important project, spanned the whole region, and it's a critical step towards understanding how to protect our marine ecosystems. And it's also aligned to the UK's action on our chairing of the United Nations Conference of the Parties, COP26. We're chairing this incredibly important conference in a year's time in Glasgow. And protecting the ecosystem and protecting our oceans is an important part of that whole program that we're working towards in a year's time. I should also say that we also cooperated very closely with the Malaysian government to return illegally shipped plastic waste from the UK, which had ended up here in Malaysia. And we cooperated with the Malaysian government to return, I think it was about 21 containers full of plastic waste that should never have been shipped from the UK to Malaysia. So that's another very practical thing that we're doing on the ground to tackle this plastic pollution. So I'd like to turn now to our first panelist. And this is UNICEF World Children's Day. So very appropriate, we have Dr. Rashid from UNICEF. He's had over 25 years of work experience in Central Asia, the Caucasus, in Europe and Southeast Asia with UNICEF and other UN agencies. Most recently, he served as the UNICEF representative to the Republic of Belarus, in 2015 to 2020, and UNICEF Deputy Representative to Azerbaijan 2009 to 2015. So if I can hand over now to Dr. Rashid. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. And it's my pleasure to congratulate everybody and celebrate World Children's Day together. And thank you very much for providing me this opportunity to speak in this very, very important topic, and it's my honor. 20th November marks the day the UN General Assembly adopted the Convention on the Rights of the Child, the most widely ratified convention in human history. And I'm delighted that a wide range of organizations celebrated with us, and as well as British government, British Foreign Office, and British High Commission Office here. For us, every World Children's Day are very, very special, but this one is even more special and very unique because we are doing it in a digital space and online. This year, also important that it's COVID-19 crisis, and this crisis has resulted a child rights crisis globally. And this is happening against the background of an ongoing climate crisis. Today's topic is a plastic pollution, an integral part of climate and environmental crisis affecting this generation and next one. We must ask ourselves, what planet we leave to our children, and how can we prepare our children to heal the planet? It was a very touchy film. I was very much touched, very strong in content and context. It talks about our future generation and planet. Children are integral part of our future and our planet. Children have been scolding us adults for our inaction. They have been talking about the climate and the environment with the same urgency as we are now talking about COVID. Our actions today have consequences on their lives of generations to come. Yesterday, we released a very important survey called Change for Climate about how young people in Malaysia perceive climate change and its impact on the environment. Of 1,377 young people surveyed, very interestingly, 92% of them told us that climate change is a crisis. And also, importantly, 9 out of 10 of them are already working on climate change initiatives, alone, individually, or group-wise. They are taking actions even more than we adults are doing. The survey results form the basis of recommendations highlighted in the report, and they are very relevant to our discussion today. There are 3 key recommendations that I would like to speak today for us and for our attention. Number 1 is facilitate youth-led climate policies through regular consultations and meaningful participation in climate policy making processes. They are asking us to include them, bring them on board when we talk about climate, when we talk about climate change that will impact their lives and the future generation. Second recommendation, make climate actions more accessible and inclusive by moving the conversation beyond urban settings, beyond the cities, to encourage youth from rural areas, low-income families to participate. Again, we are talking about vulnerable young people bring to the discussion because they also, I guess, they suffer more on climate calamities that recent years we have seen. The Kim River in Johor, the water issues last few weeks due to illegal dumping of toxic substance, and etc., etc. The third and last recommendation is offer a platform, support and recognize indigenous youth activists, community groups, civil society organizations who are leading climate action initiatives. When we talk about young people, we talk about vulnerable children and young people, we do not only talk about B40, we also talk about indigenous children, orang asli. We also talk about undocumented children. We also talk about children, migrants. We also talk about children in plantations and fishery industries. We have to bring them in surface because we don't talk often about them. And that's really, really coming up strongly in this survey. So what I would like to say, that children are leading the way, we must follow and support them. The future of our children and youth at stake. World Children's Day is a day to reimagine. So join us reimagining a better world for every child. It's a day for children, day by children, and day with children. We are celebrating the rights of all children in Malaysia and in the world, independently where they are and how they are. I would like to make an announcement that tonight at 8 p.m. we have a youth-led dialogue to continue this same conversation on climate change and environmental degradation. Join us on UNICEF Malaysia Facebook page to follow the live stream. Thank you very much.
Dr. Rashad, thank you very much for your very powerful and very wise words. You're absolutely right to highlight the COVID crisis as well, which is causing so many problems for children and of course for adults. And it seems to me that we have these two very big crises that we're tackling, COVID and climate change. I suppose the difference is that with COVID, with these, every day we're hearing good news about vaccinations. So, fingers crossed, there may be a light at the end of that particular tunnel. But I think the thing about the climate change piece is that it's a much bigger issue and we can't lose sight of it. We can't be distracted by the short-term COVID and lose sight of the long term. And I particularly appreciate your words about the way this is being led by youths and the children are leading the way. I have two daughters, 14 and 11, and they are passionate, absolutely passionate about the environment and about climate change. And I think they judge us quite harshly for the way that we have failed to look after the planet in the way that we should have done. So thank you very much for that. I'd now like to move on to introduce our next panelist. We're really proud in the High Commission to have been working with Joe Ruxton and Plastic Oceans UK over the past months. Joe, you were here physically in Malaysia. I think it was back in February, March? Yeah, it feels like 100 years ago, but it wasn't that long ago. And you were a great panelist on our World Oceans Day webinar. Thank you very much for coming back. Just if I may introduce you briefly, Joe, to say that you are a passionate campaigner for the oceans, and your career in conservation began back in the 1980s when you started the first marine program for WWF Hong Kong, and I think you lived there for about 14 years. You were disappointed, I think, in the lack of conservation messages and the BBC films that you worked on, which led you to leave to work independently. And you became aware of the problem, the growing problem of plastic waste, which of course back then was really very little known and little understood. And you started to tell the story as it was then. You made an extremely successful film, A Plastic Ocean. And 11 years ago now, you co-founded the first UK charity focused on plastic pollution, the Plastic Oceans Foundation, which subsequently became Plastic Oceans UK, which is focused on producing educational materials to schools. And the films that you produced are exceptionally powerful. Joe, over to you.
Thank you so much, Charles. It's an absolute pleasure to be part of this today. The work that we've done focused on education originally. The film that we made was the first education tool I didn't know about any of the solutions. I just knew that there was a huge problem. And I knew that if we could get this film shown around the world, then the right people would come forward and solutions would start to present themselves. What I want to do now, if I can, is just share my screen to show you some of the education materials that we've produced since the beginning. I've done a lot of talks in schools around the world, from very sort of posh private schools all the way across the system, and spoken to children in deprived communities. And I have to say, all of them are the same. All of them soak this information up, and they are such incredible ambassadors for the ocean. They haven't been subjected. They don't have the same habits that we have, and they are so open to change. So I can't share. I've been disabled from sharing. I need the host to do that.
I don't know, Nora, can you fix that?
Yes.
Yeah, it's done. It's done.
Yeah. So can you now see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So the yes, the work that we've been doing started before the film came out, and the first programs that we did were looking at children in the age range right up to 16. And we have a separate microsite, which I've got the address on there, so that you can see, if you're a teacher, you can access our materials for free. The ones that we have for primary schools are STEM focused ones, so that the children can understand what plastic is, the different types of plastic material, how it can be recycled, where the problems are when it gets into the environment. And the Star Award ones are for the younger children. We then go through the same topic, so that we go from the age range of 5 to 7, and then the next ones are age 7 to 11. So we cover the primary spectrum. The other ones that we have, we've done a series of lessons which actually look at the international school syllabus and feed this topic into lessons that they have to do. One of the things that we found speaking to teachers was that there are a lot of materials out there which are extracurricular, but often in schools they have to stick to the subjects that they've got to teach. So we looked at the subjects they're teaching. And for example, in physics, one of the things they have to learn is speed equals distance over time. But rather than telling it in the normal way, we actually looked at the story of the shipping container that lost a whole load of rubber ducks overboard, and what happened to those ducks, how they traveled around the world, how long it took them to travel around the world. And so the whole of that lesson was put inside this story. So by the time the children had learned that speed equals distance over time, they also knew a little bit about ocean currents, how plastic that's spilt in one area can end up going all over the world. So we've done that in a whole suite of different subjects. The next set of materials that we've done are our Ocean Discovery Days. And these are the ones that have the films that we were talking about. And the Ocean Discovery Days are also STEM focused. And what they do is look at the 3 mindsets that we have, which have resulted in 5 habits around the use of plastic. So it's what we're thinking about and the habits that we need to unlearn so that we can stop plastic escaping into the environment. The films that we have, and one of them you're going to see today, will go across the whole suite of the Ocean Discovery Day challenges. So the first one is Our Ocean, and this looks at the connection that we all have with the ocean. I know that when I was growing up, much as I love the ocean and all the times I was living by it in the places that we traveled to, it was never taught in schools. For example, we were told that it's the forests that are the lungs of the planet, that they're providing the oxygen that we breathe and absorbing the CO2. Yes, they are. But nobody told us that it's the ocean that actually provides more than half of the oxygen that we breathe on the planet and absorbs much of the carbon dioxide. We are so linked to the ocean that it's actually our life support system and we can't do without it. So this one actually brings back the connection. The second one is what is plastic? So we look at plastic as a material. It is the most incredible material. It was designed to defy nature. It was designed to last forever, and it's light and it's cheap, and there's so many things you can do with it. But the problem is, because it was designed that way, it should never have been used for single use. And that's where the problem is. So if we understand what the material is, what its purpose was, then we might start to understand why we can't let it escape into the environment. And the third one, which is the one that we're going to be showing today, and I want to thank Maya for narrating these, because that means so much to us to get this out into another language without subtitles. And this shows what plastic pollution is doing in the environment. So all of these films are relative to each challenge. So these schools only need to pick one challenge, but if they like them, they might want to go on and do the rest of them. So the ones that we've done so far, we have 3 so far, and there are 2 more which are going to be produced. Love is in the Bin actually looks at the things we're throwing away, and it questions whether those things should have been thrown away. Are they things that could have been refilled or repurposed or upcycled? So just looking at this habit that we have of, oh, it's plastic, it's disposable, I'll chuck it, without thinking of the consequences. Pointless Plastic looks at the plastics we use without even thinking about them. This habit that we've got of picking up something like a coffee stirrer to use for a few seconds and then throw it away when we could have used something else. And the Rubbish Lessons looks at how we're dealing with our plastic waste. Could we actually stop that, even if it's been thrown away? Can we design something that will actually prevent that from ending up in the environment? So each of these encourage critical thinking. There's no wrong answers. It's to get the students looking at this, examining it, seeing how it could be done differently, and working out why we've got those habits in the first place and how we can break them. So all of this is on our website, plasticoceans.uk, and I hope that you'll enjoy them. And I really hope that everyone enjoys the Bahasa version. And I wish I spoke Bahasa, because then I could really fully appreciate it. I need to have I stopped sharing now? There we go.
Yes, thank you, Joe. Thank you very much indeed. One thing that always sticks in my mind is the thought that if William Shakespeare had used one of those plastic coffee stirrers, it would still be around on the planet, which kind of puts it all into perspective for me anyway. Thank you very much, Joe. I now have great pleasure in introducing our next panelist, Maya Karin, who provided the Bahasa Malaysia voiceover for the Plastic Ocean films. So Maya, if I may introduce briefly, is a Malaysian and German film actress, television host, singer, and environmentalist. And besides acting, Maya is an activist for the environment. She was the ambassador for the River of Life in Malaysia, and also the voice of wilds by the Forest Research Institute Malaysia. She supports and does a lot of campaigns regarding environmental issues in Malaysia and Southeast Asia. And I think before I hand over to you, Maya, we're going to watch your short River of Life video.
Nampak cantik ke berenang dengan sampah? Bila cakap pasal pencemaran, kita semua menunding jari. Sistem pelupusan sampah di Malaysia tidak sistematik, pihak berkuasa tak buat kerja. Tapi sebenarnya semuanya bermula dengan kita. Ini adalah contoh sampah yang dibuang oleh seorang penduduk Malaysia. Bayangkan kalau semua penduduk Malaysia mempunyai tabiat yang sama. Siapa yang patut dipersalahkan kalau bukan diri kita sendiri? Masanya untuk ubah sikap dan berhenti menunding jari. Tingkatkan tahap kesedaran dan pengetahuan demi generasi masa depan.
Maya, over to you.
Okay, hi. Hello, everybody all around the world and on the screen right here. Just an FYI, shooting that video was absolute torture. It was freezing cold. I was dying, shivering. Everybody had to wrap big blankets around me. And I'm trying to deliver this speech as calmly as possible, even though I wanted to kill the producer. But such is my dedication to the environment and I will put myself through a lot of misery to do and get shots that we need and to communicate as much as possible. So just in short, regarding plastic, I was recruited early on this year to see if I would be part of the team. I said yes, I was very happy to, because actually I started talking to school children about plastic already in 2008, and then again in 2009 and 2010. So what I did, I organized a campaign with 2 schools in 2008 as a sort of trial test kind of project. And it worked so well, and companies, corporates, governments really supported me and my partner. And we did the same thing again in 2010, this time with 10 primary schools all around Malaysia. Altogether, I spoke to children and got them involved in a 1-month-long project about plastic bags with about 22,000 school children. So that was, a long time ago. I haven't, unfortunately, not managed to do another campaign since then. But basically, yes, I've been talking to kids and trying to get them to understand, and in a friendly way, like Joe said, in an accessible way with kids. And the thing that I have said before is when it comes to the topic of environment, it's often at a level that's very intellectual and very facts and numbers and figures and statistics and most often in the English language. And so it becomes quite inaccessible to a big part of the population here in Malaysia, for instance, and many, many other countries, when the dialogue is only in English. And the way of communication is also a bit too high up there that it turns people off, or it just kind of makes them feel that they can't relate to this topic, that it has nothing to do with them. What we keep saying, save the environment because this. Essentially, maybe I read somewhere, let's save ourselves. And in the end, as Joe was saying, the oceans being actually more important to our well-being than the forest is only a sort of discovery, even for me, maybe in the last 1 or 2 years. I'm also very happy that we did this, like this video. It took a long time to do this. We were very detailed in recording it. It took us almost 12 hours. And like I said, so hopefully these videos that we did, these 3 videos will be more, will make the people watching it more comfortable. They will understand it better, and hopefully bigger dialogue can be started with this. I really do wish that the education system as well, again, Joe, we need to talk later, that there's more about the environment incorporated into this, not only the curriculum, but also the sort of day-to-day in Malaysian schools. I just feel that it's lacking, and just basic knowledge is often just not there. They weren't taught in schools. They weren't given any particular challenging projects or anything that, like you said, pushes the creativity, pushes the mind. And I'm not so used to giving a monologue like this, and this is why I'm more of a two-way communicator. And this is also, I guess, everyone has a job in this campaign, in this struggle to find solutions and to implement the solutions. And my role, as I keep saying, is not to be the expert, I'm not the scientist, the researcher. I am the communicator. I talk to a lot of conservationists. I talk to a lot of researchers, organizations, NGOs, and I'm the one that communicates it to my fans and to the public. I'm the one that goes on television and talks about it. And I'm very happy to say that I've had a fair amount of success in passing on the baton of passion with a lot of younger kids, especially university children now. So with River of Life, I actually accidentally started a campaign as well called Maya Current Challenge, where people immerse themselves in a sort of semi-shallow river-ish and just take a deep breath, close their eyes, relax, and enjoy what is there. And I had thousands, I did it myself for fun, but I had thousands and thousands of Malaysians copying me and trying to do the same thing. And I somehow would love for that small little challenge for it to translate, that clean water, for us to comfortably lie in it, is so important. Okay, is anybody else? Charles, would you like to come back and rescue me? Or ask me a question that we can bounce off from, bit more of a discussion.
Yes, we'll come back. We'll have a bit of a discussion later on. But what we're going to do now is we are going to play the film, the Plastic Ocean UK film in Bahasa Malaysia for the first time publicly.
First time I'll see it.
You will. We're playing the third film, Plastic Pollution, Pencemaran Plastik.
Right.
It is extraordinary how limited we have been in the past. After all, it's only 150 years ago that we were pouring raw sewage into the oceans. Why? Because we thought, well, the oceans are infinitely large, so that the towns of effluents can just disperse and disappear. Well, now, actually, that's almost true as far as natural sewage is concerned. But it is not true as far as plastic is concerned. Plastic does not degrade. Plastic does not disappear. The processes of nature which deal with effluent do not deal with plastic.
Sejak 60 hingga 70 tahun yang lalu, kita telah menghasilkan lebih kurang 8.3 bilion tan plastik. Jumlah yang sangat besar untuk kita cuba gambarkan. Ia lebih kurang sebesar 25 juta jet jumbo. Kira-kira 6.3 bilion tan daripada plastik itu telah menjadi sampah. Dan hanya 9% daripada sampah tersebut yang dikita semula. Apa terjadi kepada yang lain? Sebahagian besarnya dibuang ke tapak pelupusan sampah. Tapi ada yang berjaya memasuki alam sekitar kita. Sisa plastik ini telah masuk ke lautan kita melalui beberapa laluan yang berbeza. Contohnya melalui sistem saliran dan sungai, melalui tempat pembuangan sampah atau tiupan angin. Lautan kita sekarang telah tercemar dengan plastik. Sisa yang terapung dan boleh dilihat tidak menunjukkan skala sebenar kepada masalah pencemaran laut. Kerana 90% plastik selalunya akan tenggelam. 1/3 daripada plastik akan berakhir sebagai pencemaran di alam sekitar. Dengan jumlah 100 juta tan setiap tahun. Ianya bersamaan dengan berat 700 bilion botol plastik. Sikap kita yang suka membuang plastik telah menimbulkan masalah alam sekitar dengan kesan jangka panjang. Hari ini, plastik telah mencemarkan setiap sudut lautan bumi ini, dari Antartika hingga ke dalam jurang Mariana. Cebisan plastik yang besar di lautan boleh memerangkap lalu mencederakan burung dan hidupan laut. Mereka boleh membawa cebisan plastik ini untuk tempoh yang lama. Bila terperangkap, hampir mustahil untuk mereka melepaskan diri. Kecederaan yang dialami menyakitkan dan sering membawa maut. Burung dan hidupan laut sering menelan cebisan plastik kerana menyangka itu adalah makanan. Oleh sebab plastik tidak boleh diurai, perut mereka tidak boleh mencerna plastik tersebut. Ia akan terus terperangkap dalam sistem penghadaman mereka sehingga mereka mati. Cebisan plastik yang telah ditelan boleh menyekat sistem penghadaman haiwan. Ini akan menyebabkan mereka mati kelaparan. Seekor anak paus Bruda mati setelah menelan cebisan plastik bersaiz 6 meter persegi dan kesemua 7 spesies penyu didapati menelan plastik. Sisa plastik membunuh hidupan marin kita. Sinar UV matahari dan garam pada air laut merapuhkan plastik. Dipukul ombak laut, cebisan plastik mulai pecah dan menghasilkan serpihan-serpihan yang tajam. Lekukan pada serpihan itu akan menangkap zarah-zarah kimia yang masuk ke lautan akibat dari aliran sisa perindustrian dan pertanian yang telah berlaku puluhan tahun. Zarah-zarah yang menumpang pada serpihan plastik akan menjadi pil yang beracun. Toksin dari pil-pil plastik yang telah ditelan oleh burung dan hidupan laut itu memberi ancaman terhadap badan mereka. Mikroplastik adalah cebisan plastik yang berdiameter kurang daripada 5 mm. Ia berasal daripada dua sumber utama. Mikroplastik primer merangkumi gentian mikro daripada pakaian dan habuk getah daripada tayar. Sebilangan besar kain pakaian moden dihasilkan daripada plastik. Setiap kali kita mencuci bahan sintetik ini, jutaan serat plastik masuk ke sistem air daripada mesin basuh kita. Serat plastik ini terlalu kecil untuk diperangkap oleh penapis di loji pemprosesan air dan akhirnya masuk ke lautan. Geseran antara tayar dan permukaan jalan menyebabkan zarah-zarah getah pecah dan apabila hujan, mikroplastik itu mengalir dari jalan raya ke parit dan laluan air. Sekali lagi memulakan perjalanan ke lautan. Mikroplastik sekunder berpunca daripada sisa plastik yang diurai berulang kali sehingga menjadi mikroplastik. Saintis mendapati banyak hidupan laut di seluruh dunia sedang menelan mikroplastik. Ancaman yang tidak dapat dilihat ini telah menyusup ke jaringan makanan di lautan pada pelbagai tahap, daripada sekecil zooplankton sehingga ikan dan kerang yang kita makan. Baru sekarang kita mulai sedar ancaman mikroplastik terhadap kesihatan laut dan dunia kita. Ada bukti kukuh bahawa pencemaran plastik berlaku di semua lautan kita sekarang ini. Sebahagian daripadanya dibawa oleh 5 pusaran lautan utama yang merupakan lubuk pusar yang besar yang tercipta daripada putaran arus lautan. Ramai orang bercakap tentang tumpuk sampah yang terhasil di tengah pusaran ini. Tumpuk sampah ini bukanlah pulau yang terjadi daripada sisa plastik. Tetapi ujian air telah menunjukkan kepekatan plastik dan mikroplastik yang tinggi di tengah-tengah setiap pusaran. Setiap plastik mempunyai ketumpatan berbeza, maka ia terapung pada kedalaman berbeza. Pencemaran ini seperti sup plastik keruh yang mengalir melalui lajur air dan bukannya tumpuk sampah yang terapung di permukaan. Tetapi semua plastik akhirnya akan hilang daya apung. Sebab itulah kira-kira 90% plastik akhirnya akan tenggelam dan bercampur dengan sedimen di dasar laut. Pencemaran plastik dan kesannya kini tidak boleh diabaikan. Kita lihat ia menjerat dan ditelan oleh burung dan hidupan laut. Kita ada bukti bahawa ia masuk ke rantaian makanan. Kita juga ada bukti bahawa ia menghasilkan sup plastik pada semua aras laut. Dan kita lihat ia terdampar di pantai kita. Kita perlu lebih sedar tentang bahaya yang datang dari pencemaran plastik dan menghalangnya daripada masuk ke lautan kita. Seluruh muka bumi ini bergantung pada lautan yang sihat.
we have to act now to try and clear up and repair some of the appalling damage that we've made to the ocean. And that is going to require positive action. But there is also much simpler things we can do to prevent it getting much worse. And that is to make a demand on people who put the plastic into our lives. A, to make that plastic much easier to recycle, and B, not to use it gratuitously, not to encourage us to put elaborate packaging to titillate us, and then having done that, to chuck it into the waste paper basket. That's the appalling thing, because it adds cost to the object, it adds cost to the you that you have to pay, but you have to pay a much, much bigger price, and our children will have to pay a much bigger price unless we change our behavior now.
Sangat bagus menonton film ini dalam Bahasa Malaysia. Thank you very much.
Terima kasih, Tuan.
It's really good to see that film. And of course, there are two others, Our Ocean, Laut Kita, and What is Plastic? Apakah itu plastik? Joe, before we move on to a panel discussion, could you share with us just a little bit about the work that it took Plastic Oceans UK to produce these films?
A lot of the work came from when we made the original film, and when I say a lot of work, it was actually 8 years from start to finish, from deciding to do that film and traveling around the world, learning as we went and meeting the communities that are so affected by our plastic. When I started making that film, I didn't even realize anything about the chemicals. I thought that the problem was that it was an eyesore and that animals were getting entangled in it and ingesting it, and some dying as a result. But I didn't understand the chemical transfer, and that the chemicals are getting into our food chain, and that these same chemicals are linked to critical disease such as cancer, autoimmune problems, behavioral disorders, infertility. All of these things we hear more and more about, and those same chemicals are transported by plastic. So when I learned about the threat to human health, that's when I realized we had to do more than just create a film. We had to do the education program around it. But with the challenges, we wanted to actually concentrate on areas that people could really, really relate to. And that's why we used that footage. We used other footage. We looked at how they could fit into the challenges that we've got, what would engage kids, what would make them feel motivated to do something. And that's why we produced these three. But the absolute icing on the cake was when David Attenborough agreed to do the introduction for them. Some of the footage that you've seen were from the original time that we filmed him early in 2009, and other ones, the introductions, are something that we did earlier this year. So he has been such a supporter for us right the way through, and yeah, I think it's having him there and having them read in Bahasa by Maya. Thank you again. I know that that's going to make it so much easier for people to relate when they haven't got to keep reading subtitles.
Thank you, Joe. I very much agree with that. And Maya, you were saying earlier on about the role of the communicator. I think we absolutely should not underplay the roles of communicator. I mean, obviously, scientists are critical key to this whole issue, understanding the problem and understanding how we should deal with it. But without communicators like you, the people that need to know about this will not know about it, and the actions that we all need to take just won't be taken. So I think it's incredibly important. Now, we were going to have a short discussion session here, but we're actually running a little bit over time. So I think it might be better if we press on and meet the rest of the panelists and hear from them, and then perhaps have one wrap-up conversation session at the end, hopefully with some questions from our audience. So I'd now like to move on to our next panelist. So I'm really pleased that we're joined by Dr. Isan, who is the head of the National STEM Centre at the Ministry of Education. Now, 4 years ago, Dr. Isan was given the task to lead the STEM education initiatives that led to him now heading up the new National STEM Centre established in 2018. Now, we at the High Commission have a really important and close working relationship with the National STEM Centre and the Ministry of Education. We really appreciate the work that they do and the cooperation and the support they've shown to our Blue Hope campaign with all of our partners. Dr. Isan, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, His Excellency Charles Hay. First of all, I would like to express my sincere appreciation to the British High Commission for organizing this special and meaningful event, and for the opportunity given to MOE to take part and expose our teachers and students to the resources. It is indeed a privilege for me to be here. This education films on plastic by Plastic Ocean UK in Bahasa Malaysia, Laut Kita, Apakah Itu Plastik, and Pencemaran Plastik are very useful to our children and related to their daily life. This is enhanced further by the plastic detective STEM activity sheets, which comes in handy and will create excitement, fun, and meaningful learning, which I think is lacking due to the fact that our students are mostly being trained to just answer exam questions. Ladies and gentlemen, teaching young children about the environment and environmental sustainability has many proven benefits. One major reason it's so important to teach children about the environment at a young age is because if we don't introduce it to them at a young age and help them develop a sense of caring and respect for nature, they may never develop such an attitude. Also, positive interactions with the environment are a critical part of healthy child development. Interactions with the environment improve one's quality of life and enhance learning throughout one's lifespan. As teachers, we are preparing our students to be tomorrow's leaders. In order to be successful leaders, our students need to be ready for tomorrow's challenges. Studies show that environmental education engages students in learning, raises test scores, and encourages youth to pursue a career in environmental and natural resources. Teaching children about the environment can even help them perform better in social studies, language arts, science, and maths. Ladies and gentlemen, saving the environment is not an easy task. We cannot accomplish the goal overnight. Therefore, everyone has to work together and take responsibility for helping the environment and then stick to this common goal. Everyone has to work together or collaborate to help save the environment. Collaboration is an important skill to have in today's world. So if we can teach children how to collaborate at an early age, they have the opportunity to be much more successful in their daily life, especially when they become adults in the workforce. It is very important for children to develop a good relationship with the environment relatively early in life, because if they don't, there's a chance they never will. A good way to help build this relationship is by teaching about the environment and by having positive interactions with the environment, which help enhance learning and quality of life and are a healthy part of healthy child development. Nature and children who have a close relationship with it tends to be a source of joy and wonder. This sense of wonder provides children with direction for environmental education and leads to a joy of discovery. Ladies and gentlemen, the way we live has deep and long-lasting consequences on the sustainability of our planet. Global warming and marine litter are two examples of how our actions are creating huge environmental issues. The current scenario is both urgent and serious. What is required to manage environmental issues is an understanding of the underlying causes and consequences of these issues, a change in mindset towards the environment, and taking responsibility of the environment. Plastic is widely used today in many applications because of its affordability and properties such as lightweight, strength, flexible, thermal insulation, and inert. Plastic are replacing conventional materials in diverse areas due to advancement in technology. However, like all products, when disposed irresponsibly, plastic will have an impact on the environment. Therefore, MOE Malaysia, in collaboration with Petronas Chemical Group, or PCG, have developed a module called Plastic Sustainability and You. This module is intended to equip teachers with the right information for dissemination on plastics, proper waste management, and what students can do to play a role to address issues such as global warming and marine litter. Ladies and gentlemen, the information contained in the module, together with the Plastics Ocean UK education films and plastic detective STEM activity sheets, can be used in relation to subjects such as science, additional science, chemistry, geography, and sustainability. They can also be used in extra co-curriculum as well as school environmental club activities. They will serve as important resources to help schools that currently do not run any environmental activities to start introducing them. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, I would like to congratulate British High Commission for organizing this event, and I really appreciate the High Commission programs that are very beneficial. And I would like to end my speech with a quote from Dalai Lama: collective and individual to preserve and tend to the world. Let us do it.
Thank you very much indeed, Dr. Isan. It's really good to hear from you, and thank you again for all the work that you at the National STEM Centre and the Ministry of Education do in terms of raising awareness and helping to teach the young across Malaysia about these incredibly important issues. This, of course, World Children's Day, and we've been trying to look at plastic pollution through the eyes of Malaysian children through our campaign. And I'm really grateful for the support, participation, and the sponsorship of the International Schools Partnership and their Tembe Schools Setia Eco Park. The school children and teachers have taken part in a number of today's webinars, and they've done an awful lot of work while they've been homeschooling, producing videos and taking part in the STEM Plastic Detectives Challenge to showcase the new Plastic Oceans UK education materials in Bahasa Malaysia. Now, this has all been under the direction and guidance of the school principal, Ian Salis, and I'm really pleased that Ian is here. Ian, could you tell us a bit more about how this campaign has been working and about the children's responses to it?
Yeah, welcome everybody. I'm here to give you all hope. We've got a lot of strategists here, and I'm on the ground, and I've got a privilege to be on the ground because I see it happening on a daily basis. We were lucky to have Joe visit us just before the MCO, and Joe raised a number of questions, and we're actually looking to integrate some of Joe's curriculum into our lessons on a daily basis. And I think, Maya, you're more than welcome to come into the school and actually see some of these lessons being integrated. It is getting integrated a lot more than maybe what you think. There are pockets of excellence, both in international sector, but also in the government state sector, and we need to recognise that as well. We all live busy lives, but some of you would have seen some unbelievable videos from our students this morning, and actually they did it more than just in Bahasa Malay. We also had our videos in Tamil and also in Mandarin. So we're actually trying to get the message out wider than just for Bahasa Malay speakers in Malaysia, and we feel we've got a responsibility to do that as an international school. Our students took part in what's called a Detectives Week, a Plastic Detectives Week, and they produced videos in the 4 languages that was to raise awareness in the homes. It has been a partnership. We work in partnership with a number of providers, but the most important partnership is the parents, actually. Joe's dead right. You can go to any school in the world and the children are very similar. They're open. Unfortunately, I don't know how old people are on the call, but I'm only 22. But obviously, we weren't taught like the children are now. Our generation missed some of these gaps. We were also misinformed. And we've got a real massive opportunity to inform our young people in the right way. There is lots of energy out there. You know, we say to our children all the time in our school, you are the policy changers, you are going to be the ambassadors, you are going to be the government ministers, you are going to be able to make the changes that you need to make. And our children are there ready to do that. So, you know, it is exciting times. It's not all doom and gloom. There is a link, there is a loop going back to the young people, and we are seeing some change.
Ian, thank you very much indeed. Speaking as somebody who's nearly 25, I can't help but agree with you in your comments about the way we were taught, and something that you said earlier, Joe, about, you know, just not being aware of the chemical issues. I mean, the unsightliness of plastic, I think we've probably all been aware of, but all of these deeper problems that that are caused by plastic pollution and the incredibly important role of the oceans. Certainly, I was never taught any of that when I was at school. It's really important that the kids these days are hearing about it. We'll come back to these points in a minute. But in the High Commission, we've also been very fortunate in dealing with the, working very closely with the Ministry of Environment and Water on a whole range of wider issues to do with climate change. And we're very privileged that we have a video message for us from the Minister, Tuan Ibrahim.
Charles, before we do that, am I okay just to quickly present our green flag status? Because I thought I had a bit longer. Is that okay?
Oh yeah, please go on. Sorry,
yeah,
and I thought you finished there.
Before we jump through, so I'm just going to share my screen with people, and
okay.
You know, I know I've got my 8 minutes, so I won't go above. I've got my timer on. Don't worry.
Okay.
Has everyone got? Can everyone see that?
Yeah.
Okay. I think it's important that particularly some of the people around the table get to see this, and also some of the listeners. We are a green flag school, and it's taken us quite a way to get to that. Green flag is a journey that schools go on, and this is sort of linking the dots up, where you go through a bronze and silver, and then you eventually get the green flag. As far as I know, there's only 15 green flag schools in Malaysia, as we know, and we're one of them, and we're very proud of that. In order to get to green flag status, you have to do things like this, where students are being made more aware, but also you have to do things within the curriculum. And we do work with a number of partners, and there are schools apart from us doing this as well, but particularly us at 10B Setia Eco Park, we are doing this. We've got 2,000 students, so we have got the ability to work in partnership, and a lot of these partnerships have been built by our parents. And you can see there that schools are working with partnership groups and to try and spread the message. You know, we have got champions. We've got, this is Hannah. Hannah is making a difference. She's a young adult making a difference, and she's actually been awarded an Eco Champion Award for Malaysia across WWF, and that's something we're very proud of. And we've got more Eco Champions coming through. We have people producing videos today from the age of 10 years old, and they're going to be our new policy and change makers. There are lots of things going on where we do the softer stuff like the 10B fairs. It's all trying to be eco-friendly. Obviously, we haven't cracked it. There's still too much plastic in our school. There's still too much single-use plastic in our school, but we are aware of it and trying to make a difference. We have the biodiversity gardens. We have over 1,000 species of plants, and we are teaching our children about what plant life looks like and how we develop that. And in the picture there is one of our old heads who was a leader of that and a pioneer of this. So children are getting this on a daily basis. We're trying to be a little bit more creative with rainwater harvesting systems and collecting the rain and using that to fill the garden. And our young students are being encouraged to come up with new systems. We're currently trying to look at a system where we're using solar panels to clean dirty water and bring that into a school. So there are new, and then we've got our own garden and vegetable planting session. In March, we had planned our own chili garden. We were going to sell local chilies to our local campangs and lots of areas, nasi kandars, and we were in the midst of building our chili garden. So there's lots of other positive stuff going on. We develop Well Cleanup Day, and we work with our partners on that. And that's a lot of this is driven by our parents as well, because we work in the partnership that we do. We've even got our own eco art walls where we're developing artwork based on eco systems. You can see a picture, the third one there, which is used bottle tops. So we are actually trying to find other ways to reuse and recycle rather than just think about buying plastic. So that's a really important part as well. And we do lots of different projects. We've been doing the Turtle Project, Ocean Conservation, and obviously we've been looking at a lot of diving. A lot of our students dive, they like diving, so they're actually directly affected by this. But I think one of the things that we've actually worked on most is our work with our parents. And I think YE is a parent here who's actually helped to build this wall. And I think that's YE up a ladder there, who's going to talk about how the parents actually get involved, because we feel that they're a key part of the game changer. YE, do you just want to quickly talk about this?
Yes, thank you, Ian. Good afternoon, everyone, from where we are here in Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur. Well, thanks for having me on this call, and we've been enjoying all the presentations since morning. Now, the fact that I'm being a parent of 10B and being involved in this presentation is really an evidence of how strong our partnership is with the school, and we believe that the impact and the difference that we make, it's going to help enrich the learning experience of our children in the school. Well, the parents are actually involved and we are actually part of the eco committee as well. So, the work just doesn't start with activities and so on and so forth, but it actually starts with building the strategy, the eco strategy, and how we can actually teach our school, our Tembi community to actually embrace the eco-mindedness. So some of the things we believe in is to really be able to create that holistic learning experience for our children. So we believe that learning and teaching is just not in school, but actually at home. So as you can see in a picture, for example, our parents get involved in eco projects like composting at home, involving the children to get their hands dirty as well. We find that learning is really making more impact there as well. And we also believe, obviously, the network of parents that we have in the school is, far wider, and the outreach that we can reach out to the community. Each and every one of the parent in Tembi is a professional themselves, and skilled with diverse background and experience. We believe that that kind of teaching will also help. Of course, the network of parents at FELS gives us a wide access to the diverse professional resources. I'm not sure whether you recognize, but Dr. Dino, the picture here in green, is actually the previous CEO of WWF Malaysia. So coincidentally, he is actually a Tembi parent, and obviously, being a graceful person, he volunteered in delivering several workshops and speaking engagement to kind of enrich the learning of our students. So there we are. We have a lot of skill sets within the parent community. We are also able to do a lot of community projects, like, for example, in conjunction with the World Cleanup Day, like Ian said, we went up to the public park to clean. We also did some plogging in a nearby community trail. So we did all that. And last but not least, we support a lot in fundraising as well. So like, for example, in our annual Tembi Ball, a charity ball, we have actually raised close to 50,000 ringgits, truly by some auctions of great art pieces. So with those kind of money that we've raised, we are able to channel that back to the funding of all the eco initiatives in the school. So with that, I just want to reinforce the fact that, parents, Tembi parents particularly, we are very, very keen and strong in supporting the eco journey. And we've started this for many years now, and we keep passing the baton to the new parents coming to school and continuing that. So we really hope that we will win the green flag in the next application with WWF. So we keep trying.
Thank you, YE. Thanks for your time there. And I'm going to pass the baton on to Charles. Sorry, Charles, for stopping you there, but we had a presentation there. So thanks, YE, and passing the baton on, which is what Sir David says in his last film, which is on Netflix, is something that we're really encouraging all of our community to do. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ian, thank you very much indeed. And sorry for almost cutting you off back there. And thank you very much, YE, for your perspective from the parents of Tembi, which is really important. Now, the next thing we have is the video I mentioned, which is a message from the Minister of Environment and Water, YB Tuan Ibrahim.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulullah dan salam sejahtera. Tuan Yang Terhormat Charles Hay, Pesuruhjaya Tinggi British ke Malaysia, yang berbahagia Sir David Attenborough, figura yang tidak asing dalam penyiaran berkaitan alam sekitar, Miss Jo Rexton, pengasas dan pengarah Plastic Ocean UK, Encik Jamalul Lail bin Abu Bakar, wakil daripada Kementerian Alam Sekitar dan Air, Dr. Ehsan bin Ismail, wakil daripada Kementerian Pendidikan Malaysia, Puan Maya Karin, selebriti dan aktivis alam sekitar, Mr. Ace Saili, pengetua kampus Tembi School Setia Eco Park, semua warga WWF Malaysia, para guru, anak-anak pelajar, tuan-tuan dan puan-puan yang saya kasihi. Firman Allah Ta'ala, وَقَضَى رَبُّكَ أَلَّا تَعْبُدُوا إِلَّا إِيَّاهُ وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا إِمَّا يَبْلُغَنَّ عِندَكَ الْكِبَرَ أَحَدُهُمَا أَوْ كِلَاهُمَا فَلَا تَقُل لَّهُمَا أُفٍّ وَلَا تَنْهَرْهُمَا وَقُل لَّهُمَا قَوْلًا كَرِيمًا. Maksudnya, dan Tuhanmu telah perintahkan supaya engkau tidak menyembah, melainkan kepadanya semata-mata. Dan hendaklah engkau berbuat baik kepada ibu bapa, jika salah seorang daripada keduanya atau kedua-duanya sekali sampai kepada umur tua dalam jagaan dan peliharaan kamu, maka janganlah engkau berkata kepada mereka sebarang perkataan kasar, sekalipun perkataan dan janganlah engkau menengking, menyergah mereka, tapi katakanlah kepada mereka perkataan yang mulia, yang bersopan santun. Surah Al-Isra ayat 23. Tuan-tuan dan puan-puan sekalian, pertama sekali, saya bagi pihak KASA berterima kasih kepada Suruhanjaya Tinggi British ke Malaysia dengan kerjasama WWF Malaysia atas penganjuran kempen plastik Green is Great pada kali ini. Penganjuran kempen seperti ini sudah pasti memberi motivasi dan didikan kepada para pelajar untuk sentiasa memelihara alam sekitar dan sedar mengenai kepentingan melestari ke alam sekitar yang kita cintai. Bersempena dengan Hari Kanak-Kanak Sedunia 2020 yang disambut pada 20 November setiap tahun, Kementerian Alam Sekitar dan Air sangat berbesar hati kerana diberi peluang untuk turut terlibat sama dalam kempen ini, dan kami memberi sokongan penuh kepada program berbentuk kesedaran alam sekitar, khususnya kepada kanak-kanak Malaysia yang merupakan bakal pemimpin masa depan. Tuan-tuan dan puan-puan sekalian, pencemaran sisa plastik merupakan salah satu isu utama alam sekitar di dunia dan juga di Malaysia. Tahukah anda bahawa plastik atau beg plastik dan straw adalah antara 10 sisa plastik yang paling kerap dijumpai di pantai dan di lautan. Malahan beg dan plastik serta botol-botol plastik yang telah digunakan dibuang merata-rata tempat mengamasa yang sangat lama sehingga 500 tahun untuk lupus atau hilang secara semula jadi. Selain itu, pencemaran plastik juga boleh mengancam nyawa manusia, hidupan liar sama ada yang hidup di daratan ataupun di lautan. Berdasarkan kajian yang telah dilakukan oleh saintis, sisa plastik yang tidak diurus dengan betul akan mencemarkan alam dan memasuki rantaian makanan. Sisa plastik yang hanyut ke laut pula akan terurai menjadi mikroplastik dan ia dimakan oleh ikan-ikan dan hidupan laut. Tanpa kita sedari, dan kita juga sebenarnya secara tidak langsung memakan mikroplastik ini dan boleh menjejaskan kesihatan manusia seluruhnya. Tuan-tuan dan puan-puan sekalian, sisa plastik yang dibuang merata-rata bukan sahaja memberi kesan negatif kepada alam sekitar dan kesihatan, tapi turut menjejaskan ekonomi negara. Sisa plastik yang terapung-apung di permukaan perairan dan terdampar di pesisir pantai akan mencacatkan pemandangan dan menyebabkan kawasan tersebut menjadi kotor. Keadaan ini akan menjejaskan imej Malaysia di mata dunia khususnya, dan sekaligus menjejaskan pendapatan negara dalam sektor pelancongan dan mengalami kerugian yang sangat besar. Melihat kepada kepentingan untuk menangani isu pencemaran sisa plastik ini, Kerajaan Malaysia telah melancarkan Pelan Hala Tuju Malaysia ke arah sifar plastik sekali guna 2018 hingga 2030. Menerusi pelan ini, kerajaan akan berusaha untuk memastikan untuk mengurangkan pencemaran kepada alam sekitar hasil daripada penggunaan plastik sekali guna. Tanggungjawab ini juga bukan hanya terletak kepada pihak kerajaan, tetapi harus dipikul dan disahut bersama oleh seluruh rakyat Malaysia. Saya ingin mengucapkan kepada Tuan Yang Terutama Charles Hay, Pesuruhjaya Tinggi British dan pihak WWF Malaysia atas usaha-usaha yang telah dilakukan bagi menyokong Pelan Hala Tuju ini secara aktif dengan menganjurkan pelbagai aktiviti kesedaran ataupun communication, education dan public awareness atau SEPA secara berterusan dan dengan penglibatan semua lapisan masyarakat termasuk badan-badan bukan kerajaan. Selain itu juga, saya amat bergembira atas pelancaran video pendidikan yang telah dialih bahasa kepada bahasa Melayu bertajuk Laut Kita, Apa Itu Plastik dan Pencemaran Plastik. Tuan-tuan sekalian, saya yakin mesej yang ingin disampaikan dapat memberi kesedaran tentang kepentingan pengurusan sisa dan memupuk jiwa anak Malaysia untuk bersama-sama menggalas tanggungjawab menjaga kebersihan alam sekitar daripada pencemaran plastik. Kepada anak-anak yang saya kasihi sekalian, Anak-anak merupakan ejen perubahan dan akan menjadi contoh ikutan pada masa hadapan. Terdapat beberapa langkah mudah yang boleh dilakukan, tetapi memberi impak yang sangat besar kepada kelestarian alam sekitar. Contohnya, apabila anak-anak membawa makanan daripada rumah untuk dimakan pada waktu rehat di sekolah sebagai contoh, makanan yang enak tersebut akan disediakan oleh ibu kita dengan menggunakan bekas makanan, botol air, sudu, gerpu, penyedup minuman yang boleh digunakan beberapa kali. Di samping itu, anak-anak juga boleh memujuk dan meminta agar ibu bapa kita menyediakan amalan membawa beg guna semula untuk membeli makanan, minuman atau semasa membeli belah barang keperluan di pasar raya. Di samping itu juga saya berpesan agar janganlah membuang sampah merata-rata. Buanglah sampah di tempat yang disediakan, di tong-tong sampah yang telah disediakan, kerana sampah yang hendak dibuang itu mestilah diasingkan terlebih dahulu mengikut jenisnya agar ia dapat dilupus dengan betul dan sempurna. Amalan mengitas semula barangan seperti kertas, tin minuman, bekas plastik dan juga perlu ditingkatkan, dan ini saya yakin dengan secara tidak langsung dapat mengekalkan kelestarian alam sekitar. Kepada ibu-ibu, jangan lupa pastikan bahawa minyak-minyak yang telah kita gunakan diasingkan dan jangan sekali-kali dibuang dalam sinki atau ke dalam longkang kita. Tuan-tuan sekalian, oleh kerana menjaga kelestarian alam sekitar adalah tugas kita semua pada hari ini dan masa-masa akan datang, marilah kita semua bekerjasama dan berusaha untuk menjaga bumi yang mana kita tinggal di sini. Sebarkanlah amalan yang murni ini seperti tidak menggunakan plastik sekali guna kepada seluruh ahli keluarga kita, rakan-rakan, jiran, tetangga, supaya pada masa akan datang pencemaran plastik negara kita dapat kita atasi. Lastly, to all great children out there, come and join us. Bring your recycle bag, use your own food and drink containers. Avoid single-use plastic. You are the future of our country. The environment is our shared responsibility. Sekian dahulu. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh dan salam sejahtera.
Great. So that was a message from the Minister of Environment and Water, YB Tuan Ibrahim. And now we have a representative from the ministry with us, which is terrific, Mr. Jamalullah Abu Bakar, who is the Ministry of Environment and Water's Undersecretary for the Environmental Management Division. He's got a great background for this because he's also worked in the Ministry of Education and Higher Education. And I'm going to hand over to him now to tell us more about the plans to help tackle plastic pollution.
Thank you very much, Excellency. A very good afternoon and assalamu alaikum to everyone. It was a great opportunity and I'm honored to be together with all the great panelists here today. And I would like to congratulate British High Commissioner and Plastic Ocean UK for yet another dynamic initiative in promoting the environmental education through Belevation of Excellent Education film. Let me share my screen to talk about what has been. Can you please disable the screen sharing, please? Thank you.
Yeah, it's done.
Thank you.
Share.
Sorry. I would like to talk about the government initiative on handling the single-use plastic, and that clearly mentioned by the ministers just now about many initiatives that have been taken by the government in handling the plastic issues and the marine litters. So this is some of the outline of my presentation today. So plastic pollution is identified as global issues, including in Malaysia, and the problem problem is not the plastic itself, but the problem is the way we consume it, use and dispose the plastic. So in order to address that issues, the Malaysian government has come out with the Malaysia roadmap towards zero single-use plastic 2018-2030 that was launched on 17 October during the iGEM 2018. The roadmap's vision is towards zero single-use plastic for a cleaner and healthier environment in Malaysia by 2030. The roadmap aims to provide a policy direction to all stakeholders in taking a unified and collective approach to overcome plastic pollution. Hence, we plan to address single-use plastics by encouraging the plastic industry to shift to manufacturing eco-friendly products. And this is to ensure the industry thrives by adapting the green technology while safeguarding the environment. So the approach itself is divided to 3 phases. Phase 1, which is from 2018 to 2021, we're focusing more on the So the current implementation of this roadmap are harmonizing pollution charge, which 20 cent mechanism with local authority. Number 2 is no straw by default practice. Number 3, advocating extended producer responsibility. And number 4, preparing circular economy roadmap for plastic. The second phase, we're focusing on the systemic approach is crucial to redesigning the current linear economy into a circular one for plastic packaging and single-use plastics. The plastic circularity is a regenerative approach in which products and materials are redesigned. Post-consumer plastic packaging and single-use plastics are recovered and reused to reduce plastics waste leakage. The ministry is also working with World Bank to develop circular economy roadmap for plastic and market study to identify plastic security opportunities and barriers. At the same time, MGTC is also collaborating with GIZ to undertake collaboration actions for single-use plastic preventions in Southeast Asia. So we are talking about Malaysian Sustainable Plastic Alliance, or MASPA. So realizing the vitality of addressing plastic pollution for a sustainable environment, CASA also works with other entities such as NGO, businesses, and from alliance of government NGO business to address plastic pollution, such as the formation of Malaysia Sustainable Plastic Alliance, or MASPA. MASPA is a multi-stakeholder initiative to provide a platform for members, publics, and private stakeholders in the plastic value chain who participate in MASPA to commit and to action for the goal to achieve systemic transformation to shape a circular plastic economy by building a national plastic collaboration network. MASPA enables local and national authorities, small and medium businesses, large corporations, business associations, research organizations, and civil societies to convene, identify collaboration opportunities, and to scale solutions. The aims of MASPA is not only to achieve quantitative objectives set out in the pact, but to go beyond the realm of what is currently conceivable. Members of MASPA will commit to improve product design, adopt effective waste management and extended producer responsibility scheme, and build R&D agenda for plastic circularity. So the members will work collaboratively to meet 4 targets, which are identify and eliminate 5 problematic or unnecessary single-use plastic items through redesign, innovation, or alternative reuse delivery models by 2025. 100% of plastic packaging to be recyclable, reusable, or compostable in Malaysia by 2030. 25% of post-consumer plastic packaging effectively recycled or composted by 2025. 15% average recycled content across all plastic packaging by 2030. While talking about managing illegal plastic waste, We have worked together with many agencies to enforce all this. And Department of Environment, or DOE, is one of the agencies under CASA. A total of 187 countries, including Malaysia, adopted amendments to the Basel Convention, an agreement signed in 1989 to reduce the movement of plastic and hazardous waste across national borders. In Malaysia, DOE is the focal point for Basel Convention in managing illegal plastic waste. And DOEs play a role as the enforcer in managing the illegal plastic waste in the country, together with other agencies such as Royal Malaysian Customs Department and local authority. So Environment Quality Act 1974 is the principal act to guard against pollution in Malaysia. Plastic waste container that enters the country without an approved permit or prior consent will be sent back to the country of origin. So this is the current procedures of what we have been practicing, the return illegal plastic. Sorry. This is the current status of the return shipment. If you can see, the number of shipment that been received by Malaysia is enormous. So as you can see, the current return shipment since 2019 to 2020, but the number has been reduced tremendously since the enforcement has been taken place. 21 countries involved in the return shipment of the plastic waste, and majority of those countries are developed countries. The reason why these plastic waste are sent back to their origin is because the plastic waste is contaminated with the scheduled waste and do not comply with the AP requirement. So we want to show to the world that Malaysia also is not a dumping ground for them to send back, so send their waste to Malaysia. Starting 1st January 2021, the new amendment on plastic waste includes household plastic which are not hazardous and not suitable for recycling. So the movement of this product category will be controlled under the Basel Convention through PIC mechanism. And on top of that, in Malaysia, it is also controlled by the import permits. So this is the adopted amendments that have been changed in the Basel Convention that will be effective on 1st January 2021. And originally, the Annex 9 only classified non-recyclable plastic, but did not explain between recyclable and non-recyclable. So Annex 2, plastics that cannot be recycled without a cleaning process because they are contaminated with foreign materials such as paper, stickers, stones, and so on, such as PET bottles. And Annex 8, plastic contaminated with hazardous material such as PET bottles containing pesticide. And Annex 9 applies to plastic waste that is destined for recycling in an environmentally sound manner and almost free from contamination and other types of waste. So my last slide, there are 5 ways to reduce plastic consumption. So we don't have to be an Avengers to be a hero, and we don't have to be a member of Justice League. Just a small step, and then we just become a hero. So for my dear children out there, the ministry is also actively promoting communication, education, and public awareness continuously as an effort to mitigate the harmful impact of plastic pollution to our oceans and environment. It is our sincere hope that every single one of us would embrace the act of reducing plastic pollution by changing our behavior toward plastics usage. These are some practices that we can apply in our lifestyle. Bring your own shopping bag, carry and drink water from reusable tumbler, bring your own cup when you want to go to buy coffee at some hipster cafe, pack your lunch in reusable container, and lastly, ditch disposable straws and cutlery. If you need this, bring your own. The choice is ours, and together we can build a better future for ourselves and our future generation. Before I finish my presentation, once again, we applaud British High Commission and Plastic Ocean UK for this great initiative. And the ministry is committed in implementing the effort towards a sustainable ecosystem And we look forward for more excellent cooperation in the future. Thank you very much. Back to you, Excellency.
Thank you very much indeed. That was a really interesting presentation, and good to see the facts and figures on the return of shipments to countries of origin, which I was talking about earlier on. And you know, there are some league tables which is good to be at the top of. I'm not entirely sure that being at the top of returned plastic is good, but at least it shows that we've been working actively with you to do that. And one of the things that really struck me about that whole business of working with you to return those plastic shipments is that I'm absolutely convinced that British people would be horrified, in fact were horrified, to hear that the plastic they thought had been put into recycling ended up being shipped to Malaysia and then dumped. So it's entirely right that we work with you to return that to the exporters. So we've got a few minutes for Q&A. I don't know if our technical team are able to put up any Q&A in the chat. I can't see any coming through just at the moment, but I do encourage any watchers to put through your Q&A. While we're waiting for something to come through, perhaps I can go back to Joe. Joe, I don't know whether you've got any more reflections following the presentations that came after yours.
I think the thought that's been with me the whole time while I've been watching this, and also bearing in mind that it's World Children's Day, is how in the past, and I'm guilty of this as well, I've always thought that, yes, we've got to tell these children and instruct them now and inform them, but that we have to wait until they're in the positions to be producers or policymakers, that it's a long time before they can do anything. But that's just not true. The children are so powerful and they get the messages far more easily than adults do. And they can embarrass their parents and their parents' friends to doing things. And they can also write very powerful letters and do activities that really can almost shame the politicians. They are going to live a lot longer than we will. And this is what they're going to inherit. And whatever we're doing now is going to affect their lives in the future. So that they're almost born as ocean ambassadors. And we need to encourage that right from the start and understand that they are probably the most powerful generation on the planet.
Yes, I very much agree with that. And I referred earlier to my two, who are very, very active and engaged and very questioning, very demanding, in fact,
exactly.
of our own, you know, the way that we live personally as well. And it was really good to see that plastic detective. I saw a couple of videos of the kids who've been doing this and the way that they really took that to heart and were so keen to collect and to examine for themselves the way that they and their families were living their lives.
I'm so glad that those were adapted and translated, and it's something that we just did as an activity while everybody was locked down. So to actually see how that has progressed and been taken on by certainly Tembe School and other schools in Malaysia, and how it's been distributed around, it absolutely warms my heart, and I'm so pleased that it's been done. I want to thank everyone involved.
I mean, Ian, can we come back to you on that? I mean, I just wondered if you had any more reflections, having seen the kids do those activities. I mean, what did you really draw from that?
Yeah, I agree with everything Joe says. I think there are certain people on the planet, 16-year-olds, that have made huge change. I won't say who that is. I think we probably all know who it is. But there are young people there that can make sea change. And I think what we're trying to do, and I agree with Joe. I think there are people, they're exceptional people that can do it now. But I do feel that there is a time lag here. I do feel that it is going to take a bit of time to get this rolled out. I do feel we've got a stronger generation than ever that are going to send the messages out. But we've still got families that need changing. I was looking at some of the stats from the earlier presentations. Plastic weight is still going up in Malaysia, even with all the things we are doing. It may not be going up as fast as what it might have done, but it's still increasing, and therefore there are wider impact to that. But I think if you come into the school, and I've just sent you all an invite on the panel, is I think you would get energy from the young people, and it would give you hope that there is a change afoot and the baton will be passed over.
Thank you very much, Ian. Dr. Rashid, any more reflections from you from a UNICEF perspective on what you've seen and heard on World Children's Day?
Thank you very much. No, I was enjoying all discussions. I was enjoying the depth of the whole discussion and the commitment, the passion on plastic. And as I see, everybody agrees that the children and young people could drive us adults for a clear action. So that's what we will be looking forward. And then we only can do that through different level of partnerships with children and young people, partnerships among us, partnerships with the government, partnership with strong voices like Joe. So I am thrilled that this discussion generated discussion happened, and I will be looking forward to have individual discussions, collective discussions, and work together. I'm also very happy that Maya Kareen came up with a strong voice, and that resonates to thousands, hundreds of thousands people's mind. So that's a congratulations, and I'll be looking forward to talk to you further how we could also tap on into your energy and aspiration. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rashid. I think that that leads me to offer the last word to you, Maya.
Don't do that.
Firstly, let me say a huge thank you to you for being the voice of Plastic Oceans UK. And what you've done, I think, is incredibly important in terms of opening up all of this to those many, not just Malaysians, but all speakers of Bahasa Malaysia, which obviously goes way beyond Malaysia. So thank you very much indeed for helping us to spread that message. And over to you for any last reflections.
Thank you. You're welcome. And thank you too for getting me involved. I try to do what I can and try to use the platform that I've been given and that I have sort of somewhat earned over the last 20 years of working as a public figure and having access to the community and the mass public. It thrills me when there is even a little bit of success. And just for instance, when I walked in the mall, a young 18, 20-year-old boy tapped me on the shoulder and said, you know, Kak Maya, do you remember me? Which I said, I'm sorry, I'm not quite. Well, I said, well, I was one of the students that you worked with back in, whether it was 2008 or 2010, I don't remember. But he says, I was, about 10 years old then. I still remember it. And, it was such a fun project and it was still in their minds. And so I do hope that it will affect a little part of their day-to-day lives, thoughts like this. And I will continue to do what I can. Like I said, we all have our roles to play, and we should all really focus on what are our strengths and zoom in on that. And I will continue doing what I can forever and ever more.
Thank you very much indeed. Well, thank you to all the panelists. It's been a really great discussion. I think we've covered an awful lot of really important ground. I'd also like to thank my team at the High Commission, the terrific Alison Collingridge and Hannah Hoffman, who've done a huge amount of work on all of this. And thank you all very much indeed for taking part. And thank you very much to our sponsors and supporters for this event. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thanks. Bye, everyone.
It was nice getting to know you.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Thank you so much, everybody. Just before we close, I just would like to give our deepest thank you to the His Excellency Charles Hay for conducting this, and also the rest of the panelists that's involved in this conversation. It means a lot to the community and especially children, and we look forward to be working with you guys a whole lot more. And thank you once again, and we look forward to seeing you both in the future. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thank